What they gave up Bledsoe, Hill, DiVincenzo, and another player, I think. Yeah, we're live.
I mean, like,
we're live.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!
Yo, what is up, everybody? What's going on? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. POB can be found on iTunes, on Spotify. Smash that subscribe button, guys, if you're watching us here at the YouTube channel at The Painted Lines. Before we get started, make sure you go check out thepaintedlines.com. Everything Eagles game recaps by my man Shane over there at thepaintedlines.com. Today, we are talking about our final takes versus the loss against the New York Giants, and we are going to preview the upcoming matchup versus the Cleveland Browns. Joining us today is my man Rob. You know him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What is up, Rob?
I give you guys a lot of credit out here in the Eagles green today. I do. There was not a chance. Actually, you can't see because I had to make the longest heading of all time. But I had to wear the Jackass shirt for no other reason than for the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, who, if the new norm was to suck and want you to be fired, congratulations, Doug. You've now hit the new norm, buddy.
Really? I thought this would be a positive podcast.
I got a Rob's rant that is just ready to. I'm bubbling right now.
Had the three of us had a positive podcast over the last 10 weeks?
No.
I feel like the most positive podcast I've had was after the loss to the Ravens. As weird as that sounds, that was the most positive podcast I've had as a member of Party on Broad.
I fully agree. And yeah, no, dude, I gotta pat ourselves on the back. Like, we were a very skeptic on this Eagles team heading into the season. I don't know about you, Dylan, but we were kind of getting killed a little bit on social media and stuff for being a little too hard on the Philadelphia Eagles. But I didn't think it would be this bad. But let's introduce our other guy, my man Dylan, the host of the Faithful Fanatics podcast. Follow him on Twitter at DylanJD98. What up, man?
What's going on? Rob, we got to talk to Jason and see if we can get an ass hat t-shirt made.
The ass hat t-shirt needs to come out. And maybe we could do it with a picture of every ass hat in the city. So, Doug can be up there, a little silhouette of Doug, a little silhouette of, I don't know, Matt Klentak and Andy McBale, whatever, because there's nothing but ass hats in the city right now. Like, the only team I'm trusting the process for is Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers, and the Sixers right now. I trust no other process in this moment.
Love it. The Carter Hart process and system process is pretty legit. It's pretty legit, guys. I don't even know where we would be without Carter Hart, to be honest. That's a whole other podcast. But today we're talking about our final takes. Let's lead us off with this versus the New York Giants, 27-17 loss versus the New York Giants. If there was anything to learn from that embarrassment of a loss from the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Giants, it's exactly what we've been saying here on Party on Broad over and over and over again. The biggest issue on the Philadelphia Eagles is coaching, and is not even freaking close. During our pregame show, Dylan, we talked about the keys to victory. Don't turn over the ball. Have Carson Wentz stop playing hero ball. Neither of these things happened, and what happened? The Eagles offense still sucked. So Doug Peterson's play calling is what I'm talking about. Doug Peterson's play calling has been holding this team back. He doesn't hold anyone accountable on this roster, top to bottom. And do not get me started on that Jalen Hurts package. How many times have we just been banging our heads against the wall? The offense is too predictable. Everybody and their grandmother knows exactly where Dougie P and his offense is going to do every single time the offense is on the field. So we talk about getting Boston Scott and Miles Sanders involved on offense during the pregame show. The Giants were the second worst team in the league in giving up passing yards to the running backs. What did we see? Miles Sanders had 15 carries on an absurd 5.7 yards per carry. Carson Wentz dropped back 39 freaking times. This happens all the time. Doug Peterson's knack to get away from the run, even when it's working, is mind-numbing. I don't even know why I'm smiling right now, but like this is just, it is just beaten to death. And anyone that watches the game could tell Miles Sanders was getting whatever he wanted every single time he got the ball in the backfield. Reuben Frank had this crazy stat. He said Miles Sanders is the first running back in 10 years and second in 35 years with three straight games of 80 yards or more on 15 or fewer carries. The Eagles are the fourth team in NFL history to average 5.1 yards per carry and run the ball 24 times or less. That is everything you need to know about Doug Peterson right there. The guy has zero feel for the game. This guy has no idea what's happening on the field, and we might be witnessing some of the worst play calling in NFL history. And then we get to the recent presser, which just threw me off a cliff when he said, I felt good about my play calls on Sunday. I felt my play calls were in rhythm. Give me a freaking break. We talked the last several weeks about lack of accountability. That's it staring at us in the face. We talk about Carson Wentz, Howie Roseman, Jim Schwartz, Doug Peterson. No one has accountability on this freaking roster. The point is, though, to sum it up, Doug Peterson's offense does not work. The guy has to give up play calling, but the guy is arrogant and arrogant to a fault. And I have absolutely zero expectation that he does what is necessary in order to win a football game. And I know Doug is here to stay. I know that's going to happen at least to the end of the season, man. But the bleeding has to stop. The bleeding has to stop, and it starts with Eagles coaching or lack thereof. And that's my quick initial take. You're up, Rob.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm not going to keep it short, but Doug is a piece of shit as a football coach. He'd be a nice man, but he's a piece of shit as a football coach. He stinks, okay? And all that this has proven is that he did very little in a year where they caught lightning in a bottle to win that Super Bowl. He had coaches around him that spoke, that said the right things, that held guys accountable, that held Carson accountable for what he needed to do. Doug Peterson, and this is not even an argument anymore. Okay? People that want to continue to just act like this is all on Carson or personnel or Howie, yes, they all play a role. They do. But Doug Peterson is the friggin' problem. He is an arrogant asshole. Okay? He is no different than Chip Kelly. He's no different than Chip Kelly. He's got a system and he just tries to fit. The only reason they went to a read option for Nick Foles was not Doug Peterson. It was Frank Reich. It was Frank Reich saying, we're not going to win this way. Don't forget that the first game that Nick Foles played, the first couple games, he fucking sucked. Okay? Like that Falcons game in the playoffs, he was terrible. And then the second half when Frank Reich said, we've got to do this. That wasn't Doug.
Who called Philly special?
Nick Foles called it. Nick Foles actually called it. So here's my thing, okay? We have seen plenty of coaches in the NFL catch lightning in the bottle for a season and get a Super Bowl. And hey, it's look, you won a Super Bowl, and no matter what in this town, you'll always be remembered for that. But Brian Billick won a Super Bowl too. I wouldn't call him a great coach. Brian Billick had an unbelievable defense and won a Super Bowl. Guys, there have been coaches that were not great that had this one great year and either won or got to a Super Bowl. Doug Peterson is not a good football coach. He's an average coach. I think what Mike Lombardi said years ago was over the top, about it being unqualified. I don't agree with that. But what you're seeing is that Doug Peterson makes Andy Reid look like everybody's best friend when it comes to arrogance. I'm telling you, Doug Peterson is no different than Chip Kelly to me now with his arrogance. That to go up in a press conference on Monday and to make the comment, I feel like I was in a good rhythm. Go on Angelo Cataldi and say, I'm pissed off. You can blame me all you want. I'm a man, but and then to throw the whole execution there. Why don't you just say you don't like Carson Wentz, Doug? Stop the bullshit. I've been on your ass since week 1. It's been fucking clear to me that you don't like Carson Wentz. And the fact is you roll him out twice and you get 40 yards of plays. And then you never friggin' do it again. You have a running back averaging over 5 yards. You go away from it. What the hell is your problem? You were in rhythm. In rhythm of what? Being a suck-ass football coach? Because that's the only rhythm you were in. And by the way, the fact that no heads have rolled this season, the fact that you as the leader of this team haven't said, we got to change something up on defense. There's too many cooks in the kitchen on offense. We got to make one person call the plays, not me. It just shows your arrogance. It shows how much of an asshole you are when it comes to being a football coach. And I, for one, am done sitting back and, like Brian Baldinger, who I respect his videos, he's just all over Carson Wentz right now, right? And one of the videos he put online that people are commenting on because they just don't know the game is he misses if you get the overhead view, it looks like he misses Miles Sanders low. Well, if you actually watch the game and watch the replay, the ball's deflected at the friggin' line. Like, not just tiny bit. I mean, straight full hand on the ball deflected. Hence why it ends up short of Miles Sanders. And once again, and knowing Doug Peterson, he probably, oh, yeah, do you see that? That's on Carson. That's on me. My play worked. Doug, just seriously, dude, shut the hell up. You're not even leading the team anymore. The team isn't listening to you. So that whole leader of men bullshit can go away too. I am so infuriated with this coaching staff. And I'm telling you, if they want to run Carson out of town, and these morons want to run Carson Wentz out of town, I swear to God, I hope he wins 3 Super Bowls wherever he goes. Because the guy deserves it. He deserves to be coached the right way to his strengths, and Doug isn't doing it because he's arrogant as shit. All right, I'm done.
Dylan, have fun with that.
Let me start by saying, because I know what people are going to think we're Carson apologists. So let me start by saying Carson Wentz was not good on Sunday. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He wasn't good. Okay, there it is. I said it. I said the words. Carson Wentz did not play well on Sunday afternoon. But I was told, Rob was told, Dodge was told, we were all told it's all Carson's fault. You put in another quarterback, you bring back Nick Foles, you insert number 2, these issues go away. Don't turn the ball. The turnovers, the hero ball, it's all got to stop. Throw the ball away. Just live to play another down. It's all going to stop. Well, guess what, guys? He did that on Sunday. He didn't turn the ball over. He threw the ball away. He didn't try to play hero ball and make plays that weren't there. And what happened? So everyone that wants to blame and point the finger at 11 because it's the easy and lazy narrative and they don't want to pay attention, find a new slant because that's not it. Carson, the fact of the matter is, no matter how bad he was playing, because we look at the turnover numbers and the 4 against Dallas and the 2 against the Baltimore or whatever, Carson's hero ball was covering up Doug's ass and Doug's weaknesses. And if you guys remember, after the first Giants game, we were talking about how bad of a game plan Doug drew up, and that if Carson doesn't have 2 drives with under 6 minutes left to save his ass, Doug coached the worst game of his career. 3 weeks later, against the same team, Carson doesn't do that because, honestly, he probably just said, you know what? All right, fine. Let me show you. Let me show you guys what the real problem is. So find a new slant because 11 ain't it. Does he need to be better? Yes, but there's a lot of problems, and it starts with the head coach.
Yeah, amen. My crazy feeling I had, and I got to be honest with my feelings here. I woke up. Sunday we did a pregame and postgame show, and I went off on postgame. I was miserable. I was straight miserable. And that was like my big take on the pregame show was like, I just want hope. I just want hope watching this football team. You're better than the Giants. I wanted to see a 4-quarter game put together where we can use that as a building block to maybe winning a postseason game. And what did we see? Like, I predicted the Eagles to lose this game on last Tuesday night. Just because I didn't see the Eagles running the table against the NFC East because they play like shit. They're a terrible coached team that plays down to their opponent again and again and again. That's the bottom line. But come pregame show, I was actually optimistic. I was like, it was nice outside. We had some Woj tweets about trades and the draft, and I was feeling excited. And my main positive take was that I thought the Eagles were going to actually put together, come out the bye, and get a good win. And sure enough, they just rip your heart right out of your chest every time. And I woke up Monday morning feeling good. And I want you to ask me, or see if what you felt the same way, because I woke up feeling okay. You know why? Because there's no way Jeffrey Lurie can look at this team now and be like, we're going to run it back next year and, just put patchwork, put Band-Aids on this team, and maybe it'll be better next year with more health, all that kind of stuff. That's not happening now. There's no way you can look at this team where they're at standing right now. They just lost to the Giants. That was a positive. Moral victory. The Eagles are just killing me on the inside because I'm a positive person. I've been just slamming this team for like the last 10 weeks. I woke up Monday and I was like, long-term wise, this is probably the best thing to happen for this team. Is that crazy, Rob?
It's not if it continues to happen. If they go on a run in December with as bad as the NFC East is, right? You know what this front office does. That everybody, Jeffrey, we made the playoffs. Like they don't think about it logically. This team is not good enough. From players to coaches, it's not good enough. You sold us on the idea that you had to keep spending money on defensive tackles. The hell's Javon Hargrave done?
Who?
Why is Wayne Baldwin running all over this defense? And now we got to go play Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt this week. Enjoy that. Because Baker Mayfield or whoever the hell is playing for them, they don't have to do shit. You can hand the ball 50 times.
Yep, we're going to get into that.
With Doug. I mean, Jesus Christ. Do we not all know what Doug's running before he runs on offense? The offense is the most vanilla offense in the league. His most creative play of the game came on a 4th down with the little screenplay to your boy Reagor dives, and he got 15 yards. That was the most creative play of the game. Everything else, you knew it was happening when it was happening. It's an absolute disgrace.
Rob, and you brought up the Reagor screen, the first one that worked. The second one, do you remember the one where they tried to run a rub route? Yeah, and Reagor and Carson pump fake, and then he didn't get out on time, and everyone's like, that ball's got to come out. If you watch it closely, Reagor doesn't hit the slant. Reagor doesn't hit the slant immediately. He gets caught up behind the rub, and he stops and goes around it. So that's why Carson clutches. But it's the easy narrative.
No, it is the easy narrative. And here's the thing. You brought this up earlier, Dylan. You all didn't want Carson to play hero ball. Guess what? This team has 0 chance to win a football game if Carson Wentz doesn't play hero ball. You got to live with the turnovers if you want them to have a chance to win, because the fact is, because of how bad the offensive game plan is, if Carson's not out there doing hero ball, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. I mean, it's absolutely a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
So real quick, because we could talk about the defense for years too.
Yeah, it's not even worth it, man. It's not even worth to talk about defense.
No, just wrapping it up like with Doug. There's so much that goes into it. Rob and Dobbs, you brought up the Hurts package. Let's go back to the critical moment he brings them in, right? So Miles Sanders runs for over 10 yards, picks up a 1st down. 1st and 10, incomplete pass, whatever. 2nd and 10. When you're finally, I believe it was in the second half too, you're starting to move the ball. Carson's getting into a little bit of rhythm. He puts Carson out wide. Jalen Hurts comes in, snaps at his ankles. Okay, so the timing of these plays, not only do the design of these plays not work, the timing is god awful. Okay, going for 2 when you're down by 4. Someone explain that one to me. Someone explain. And I heard his reasoning. If we get it and a field goal wins the game. Well, guess what, Doug? You didn't get it, so now a field goal doesn't even tie the game.
Yeah, and not only that, you're not even kicking extra points with a kicker who's battling a confidence issue. What gives you any thought that he's going to go out there and knock a field goal down? You've told the kicker, just like you've told the quarterback this year, I don't believe in you. That's what you've told him with your actions. And
so you guys want to know a crazy stat I saw? The league average. This is what I saw. The league average going for it for 2-point conversions and over kicking a point after is 10%. We go for 2 over 40% of the time this season. Okay, you're 0 for 9 on 3rd downs. He takes no accountability for that in the pressers after the game. Okay, what else? Rob, you mentioned not rolling Carson Wentz out of the pocket. I think Dan Orlovsky tweeted it out. 7:16 left in the 3rd quarter. You finally roll him out. You roll him out twice, 2 for 2, 40 yards, never go back to it. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, they're running all over this Giants defense. You go away from it, okay? And lastly, I want to go back to Rob's point about how he lost like the locker room and leader of men bullshit and so on and so forth. You bring Jason Peters back, right? Because Brandon Brooks goes down. He was supposed to play guard, right? Jordan Mailata fills in for an injured Jason Peters. Jordan Mailata plays well. So instead of throwing out your best 5 offensive linemen, which would be Kelsey, Lane, Pryor, Mailata, and Peters, and grabbing your balls and telling Jason Peters he needs to move over and play a different position for the better of this team, you put the kid on the bench and let Sua Opeta start at left guard, and the guard play was atrocious again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Leader of men, no.
Well, you know what? And you talked about the Jalen Hurts package, right? The Jalen Hurts package sucks. It does nothing. It ruins any continuity you have. I said this weeks ago when it actually worked a couple plays in a row, and everyone's like, oh, it's looking great. I was like, this is an embarrassment. You're supposed to be an offensive genius, and you got to turn to this and run that crap. Just stop, man. And then when someone asks him about it, he's got to be an arrogant prick again in the interview and go, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe I'll make him throw. Don't be a dick. Like, you just say, you know what? I screwed up. He takes less accountability than any Eagles coach that I've ever seen. Less accountability than any. And that's including Chip. That's including Andy. It's including all of them. He takes less accountability, and in his own way, where he tries to do it in the all golly gee shucks way, throws his players under the bus. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I ran that poll, like which head coach fell off a cliff for the Philly fan more? Was it Chip Kelly? Was it Doug Collins? Or was it Doug Peterson? Any comment on that, Dylan?
To me, I mean, I know this isn't like the general opinion, I would say. Maybe Sunday woke a few people up, but it's Doug Peterson. I mean, Chip, because here's the thing. I didn't have any expectation with Chip, right? I win a Super Bowl in 2017. I get told, not I, but you get the gist. The Eagles win the Super Bowl in 2017. I get told by the head coach, this is the new norm, and this is what I've gotten. I get it. They made the playoffs the last 3 years with injured teams, and it's, oh my God, golly gee, how do you do this?
Get over yourself, Doug.
Yeah.
You've done nothing. You've regressed every single year.
At least Jim Schwartz, and I can't. Jim Schwartz needs to be sent to the moon, okay? But at least Jim Schwartz takes accountability in his press conferences.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll on. We're at 22 minutes in. Let's get to the Cleveland Browns. The Eagles take on the Cleveland Browns, the 6-3 Cleveland Browns on Sunday. We're going to talk about the top matchups, the top storylines, and do our game predictions. I'll lead us off. The top matchup for me, I think the conversation with the Cleveland Browns versus the Philadelphia Eagles begins and ends with the Browns running attack, which is 4th best in the NFL in yards per game and 3rd best in rushing yards per attempt. The Eagles might be getting to the quarterback, but dude, they're not stopping the run. The Eagles are now 26th in the league, giving up 133 yards per game. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, these are guys that went over 100 yards versus the Texans last Sunday. And stopping those two is going to be a very steep hill to climb for our Birds. And then you got the return of Austin Hooper, who is also going to be a major concern for the Eagles, not just like because how poor the Eagles linebackers are, but this guy's a legit run blocker. So Hooper's one of those few tight ends in the league that can block defensive ends, and that's really the key strength, the pass rush of the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Browns were obviously they're going to try and attempt to control the tempo, chew the clock as much as possible. We saw how successful the New York Giants were, especially in the first half, at owning the Eagles in time of possession in that first half. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they're going to be major problems on Sunday. What about you, Rob? What's a major storyline and matchup versus the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I think obviously the big one is what you just talked about with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But I'll tell you, the Eagles have not done well against mobile quarterbacks and guys like Daniel Jones who aren't necessarily a mobile quarterback but run all over them. Baker Mayfield may not be the best quarterback in the league. I get it. He's got a lot of flaws. But Baker Mayfield's a mobile guy. He's a gamer. He works hard. And that concerns me. Because what are you going to do when they run a read option with Baker? What are you going to do on reverses that you still can't stop?
Nope.
Any type of misdirection, this defense looks friggin' lost on. But I'm concerned about Baker's athleticism, not necessarily him as a quarterback, but Baker's athleticism against this defense. Listen, we could all sit here and say the Eagles' offense versus any defense is a storyline right now because of how bad it is. But, listen, the Cleveland Browns offense is not like racking up the points against teams, right? They only scored, 10 points this past week against Houston. They ran the ball well, but, so what I need the defense to do is just keep the game close so that maybe Carson can make a couple of these hero plays and you have a chance to win the game. I got to be honest, it's gotten to the point this season where I'm watching them and I'm going to root for them to win just because that's what we do. But, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Nothing good comes from them winning at this point because then Doug gets to beat his arrogant ass chest and say how good he did again. So it's such a conundrum as a fan to watch this team. But I'll say Baker's athleticism against this defense. Are you going to learn from your mistakes with Daniel Jones over the last 3 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking. It's kind of crazy that we're sitting here week 11 in 2020, and I'm not high on Baker Mayfield. I never have been. And we're sitting here, and these are actually two very similar quarterbacks in Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield, where you just hope to God they don't hurt you more than they help you. What about you, Dylan?
I'm going to be honest with you, Dives, yours is my only storyline. Because if this Eagles defensive line and this Eagles defense cannot slow down or stop the rushing attack of the Cleveland Browns, you have no hope for this game. And I wholeheartedly mean that. The game is over if you cannot slow down their run attack. That's all they're going to try to do, and then they're going to get Baker. They're going to do exactly what Doug Peterson should do, and I mean that. They're going to run the ball down your throat, and then they're going to bootleg Baker out of the pocket and let him be mobile out of the pocket and make plays with his legs or push the ball down the field out of the pocket. That is exactly what Carson and this offense should be doing. Good.
Do you know why the Minnesota Vikings have won 4 games in a row? Because they're relying on a run game that opens up the pass game.
What's that? What is that?
And Dives, I'm watching that Minnesota offense and watching that guy by the name of Justin Jefferson that was told to me could play other than the slot. But that's besides the point, Dives. I'm not going to go there on you. I'm not going to do it to you. You just understand if we actually made a bet, you might have lost this bet already. And
it's not over. It's not over.
That's not a knock on Reagor. I want to be sure that people understand when I say what I say about Justin Jefferson, it's more a knock on Howie where these sure things fall into your lap, but you got to be the smartest guy in the room. But that's neither here nor there. But what Minnesota has done is they're relying on a great back like Dalvin Cook, and it's opening up a pass game so that a young rookie like a Justin Jefferson can have the impact he's having. He doesn't have that without the running game. It's just a fact. Well, guess what, Philly? You have Miles Sanders. You have a guy you can rely on. But Doug doesn't do it. Why? Why? There's no logic behind his reasoning at this point. None.
And I don't know. You guys brought up Jalen Reagor, so I guess my other storyline or matchup will be the Eagles special teams and punt team, because for some reason we stand at the 12-yard line and watch balls go over our head rather than just fielding them. I think I saw a stat, not to go back to the Giants game, but it was the first game where a team had 10 possessions on offense, and none of them started outside of our 25-yard line. 3 were inside the 11. So the Eagles special teams are another one because they're a bad team from top to bottom. But, yeah.
Done over the last 5 years to keep his job.
Yeah, I know. Other than that, can we stop putting slot corners on the outside? Is that over? Can we stop that? Because what's Dodge? You know this because I've said multiple times throughout the course of the year. When we look at the cornerback position, as long as the corners opposite of Darius Slay don't get burnt, and I know Darius Slay gave up that big play at the end of the game. That hurt. That was basically the icing on the cake.
Accountability for it, though, too.
Yeah, yes,
accountability for it right away.
But guess what? That's one play. Avonte Maddox got toasted up and down the field. He's not big enough. He's not an outside cornerback, guys. So if they had OBJ, I'll tell you what. If they had OBJ, we'd have no hope because the corner opposite of Darius Slay would have to cover him or Jarvis Landry.
That's a really good point, and that was like another major thought that I had during this game. I don't know if we brought it up during the post game, but like Nickel Robbie Coleman, Avonte Maddox, like I remember 2 years ago thinking Avonte Maddox was like on the next step towards being like an elite corner.
Flat corner.
Right. And I remember Nickel Robbie Coleman being signed to the Eagles, and everyone was like, we got ourselves a Pro Bowl slot cornerback that's going to be locked down on the defensive side. It is not happening, man. It is absolutely not happening. And those are actually two guys that I could see. Did you see Sidney Jones' stats? Did you see that?
And that's the other thing. Like, you look at these guys that have left here and what they're doing once they leave here. It's almost like you say, well, you know what? Maybe I'm glad the Eagles didn't draft the guys I wanted them to draft because they obviously want to succeed here. Like, it's bad all around.
Yeah. It's not just the guys. It's not just the guys that are here and leave here and succeed. Russell Douglas, I know he was hurt a little bit this year. He's had a hell of a season over in Carolina. It's the guys that have success prior to Philly, and then they come to Philly and they don't have success. And I know that's been a long time now, so we can blame Jim Schwartz or not, but that's coaching, dude. Like, that is fit, that is scheme, that is trying to put square pieces in a circle hole. Like, it's just it's Jim Schwartz's scheme. Either you fit it or you don't, and if you don't, it looks really, really bad.
Yeah.
All right, we're missing one major matchup, guys, and the biggest matchup, not biggest, but I think the second biggest is Myles Garrett versus Carson Wentz. Myles Garrett was ridiculous last Sunday versus the Houston Texans. He had 6 tackles, 4 were solo, 2 tackles for loss, and another half a sack. We see it on a weekly basis. Carson Wentz and him trying to extend plays and play hero ball. It's scary to think what Myles Garrett could do to Carson Wentz this coming Sunday. Cleveland has the 8th best turnover margin in the NFL as well. So this begins and ends with Myles Garrett, that Cleveland pass rush, getting to Carson Wentz. Obviously, Myles Garrett is on pace being I think he leads the league in sacks, and he's on pace to being a defensive player of the year candidate. That is going to be a major problem with what we're seeing from the Eagles offensive line at this point. Let's go on the game predictions. You're up, Rob.
And I mean, I'm back to where I was, back at the beginning of the season. I'm not going to pick this team to win a game until they show me that they deserve it. And I'm not even, like, at this point, even if they were to win this game, but it's just another ugly win, that's not enough for me anymore. It's not enough for me. I need to see them play good football. They haven't. They have not played good football for a full game. No doubt about it. Look, should they win the game? I mean, on paper, yeah. On paper, I know that they're not a great roster, but they're a decent roster on paper. But I don't believe in them right now. I don't believe in Carson's play right now. I don't believe in Doug Peterson. I don't believe in Jim Schwartz. I don't believe in the defensive line. So how can I pick them to win a game right now when I don't believe in them? I don't know. I mean, my guess is they're going to give up somewhere between 24 and 27 again, and if they're lucky, score 20. So I'll say 24-20, they lose.
Where will we be without Ben DiNucci? Think about that.
That Gilbert kid would have killed him. That Gilbert kid would have murdered him.
For real. What about you, Dylan?
Oh, well, when me, you, and Shane did, the second half prediction show, I had this as a loss, and I'm kind of just where Rob's at right now. Like, dude, I'm so deflated. Like, I was trying to defend this team and lift this team up when people still weren't buying in. I'm like, oh, you're healthy now. Like, come on. I'm so deflated. I'm out. So no, there is no chance in my mind. I'm not picking this team until they win. Until they show me they deserve my backing here. I'm not going to put me out there online picking them to win, looking like that, like they did against the New York Giants. So no, and again, Dibs it all. I know you mentioned Myles Garrett, and we talked about the other corner. The reason I didn't mention really any other matchups is it's simply because if they can't slow down the run, the rest of it doesn't matter. And I don't think they're going to. Again, we keep talking about like show me something. What have you shown me as a rushing defense this entire season? What did you say they're giving up 130 yards per game on the ground?
Yeah, one of the worst in the league.
Okay.
How much money is getting spent for that defensive line, by the way?
A lot.
It's absurd.
But how much is getting paid on the linebackers? None. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Thanks, Howie. Thank you, Jim.
So yeah, I'm going with the Browns. I'm with Rob, but I could honestly see Cleveland putting up like 31.
Oh my gosh, I think this is Vince who joined our Dallas pod. I am actually on the Eagles plus 3.5 this week. Go Birds! Don't forget, he tweeted at us like when the Eagles lost against the Giants. I remember. I got you, man. I think there's like some sarcasm going on here. For me personally, all signs point to a very low scoring game. You nailed it, Dylan. Everything boils down to the Eagles' ability to slow down the Cleveland Browns run game. I'm thinking like a 17-10 game where the Browns just dominate time of possession. Like 1 or 2 turnovers from the Eagles buries them in this game because the Browns are going to have the ball. Baker Mayfield, for better or worse, he did not have any turnovers last week. And that is really key. Whoever wins the turnover margin in this game probably has a slight advantage, but I'm scared to death. This is one of those matchups that does not go well for the Philadelphia Eagles with the way the Cleveland Browns can go north to south on you and then run misdirection with Baker Mayfield. That is not a good matchup with the Eagles linebackers.
Can I say one more thing? I was just sitting here like thinking about the game, and then I was thinking about the games that are coming after. If they lose this game, I know we all just picked them to lose, but if they lose this game, I don't think they win the division.
No.
And I mean that. If they lose this game, I think the wheels are literally fully falling off.
Well, I'll tell you what the problem is with this team, and I don't disagree with you, but win or lose this game, this team tends to play their tougher opponents tougher.
Yeah, I know.
For whatever reason, I don't expect them to win the games, but like I almost expect those games to be more enjoyable to watch as a fan if you can, if you can take out of it your frustration level and just watch it like it's a football game. You know what I mean? Because they somehow like listen. They're not going to beat a Green Bay, but can they play a Green Bay tough? Maybe because a Green Bay may not have a great deal. You know what I mean? Like they are. Listen. It is. There's only a few guarantees in life: death, taxes, and the Eagles making you have to stay all the way to the end of the season. Always make us stay because that's just what it always is. Outside of Andy Reid's last year, where everybody got hurt and Nick Foles was a rookie, but if you remember that season. Every single game in that 4-12 season was like a 1-score game. Like they were right there and they get a Bryce Brown fumble at the end. I mean, I remember watching every game that season because they were always in it. You know what I mean? And that's what they're going to do to you. Like we're going to be stuck watching them because we all have an illness and we're not going to stop, even though we probably should, and spend time with our families or whatever the hell else we should do on a Sunday.
Illness is correct, man. I'm just thankful that I have Dylan and Rob here to let me vent and just let me get this anger out because that's really what this is. It's a group therapy session. Let's do plugs, man. You're up, Dylan.
Faithful Fanatics podcast tomorrow. We're starting at 5, moving up for the draft. Kai Carlin is coming on the show to talk all things Sixers, Daryl Morey, draft night. So look for that tomorrow night at 5. It's going to be a lot of fun. And just enjoy Thursday Night Football this week because it's actually going to be a good game. And then we get to watch the slop that are the Eagles on Sunday.
Fantastic. Faithful fans, too, on Twitter. Make sure you follow. Thanks, Dylan. What about you, Rob?
All right, so I'll be popping on with the boys tomorrow for a little draft, booze, food, having some fun. Hopefully the Sixers can give us a little bit of levity during these times. And then on Thursday night, Jess and I will break down the Eagles. We'll break down the Sixers draft and what we think. We will be back. Nice. She texted me today and she said, "How you feeling?" I said, "Great, ready for an episode of The Madness this week." She said, "Oh, am I ever?" So that means we're bringing the fire Thursday night, probably 8 o'clock. We'll be on there, so make sure you're checking us out on Thursday.
There it is.
What time are we starting that show tomorrow?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, man.
I'll be on closer to 8, but I'll be on.
Great. Everyone here is welcome, of course. We're just just shooting the shit and reacting to all the picks. My man Tiago and Austin will be joining. Jason Blevins will be joining. Brock Landis will be joining. We have a lot of people just kind of coming in and out. It's going to be so much fun. So 7 p.m. at the start of the NBA draft. Man, since like March, we've been kind of breaking down these guys. If you're an NBA draft fan, go check out thepaintlines.com. So I'm telling you, 50 NBA draft scouting reports over there. And on this YouTube thing, we've got 30 video scouting reports. So it's going to be so much fun. A lot of drinking, a lot of eating. Please join, comment, trash talk. It's going to be so much fun. That is 7 p.m. Eastern time at the start of the NBA draft. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like at the YouTube, the Painted Lines YouTube channel for Dylan, for Rob, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. I guess see you tomorrow night.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get a hell yeah!